Welcome back, everybody. So, yeah, as I was saying, with Sonic, basically the status of Sonic has evolved over the years, and like I said, it started out as great, and then it was like it's good. There's some crap ones, but they're not. And then it was like, there some people thought like, oh, they're all right. Some people thought they were still really good, and then it just went like from like a good amount of people thought, oh, they're just shit, and then it felt like it's like, other than hardcore Sonic fans, it just feels like everybody's like, oh, Sonic's just a bad series. And I feel like it got to the point where you could also look at that like backwards. Like you have Sonic, the new Sonic games, like from Sonic 6 onward, and it just became so fun for people to make fun of Sonic that it got to the point where it's like, Sonic's bad, right? Okay, they had bad couples. It's not actually that bad. And then it was like, and then it got to the point where like, so Sonic 06 is bad. Now Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 are bad. And then it kind of came full circle, and eventually you have some people like those guys from IGN who were just like, oh, Sonic was never good. Not even the originals, which is like, whoa, okay. I know it's like fun to make fun of Sonic, but you know, he's so memeable now and stuff because of his many faults that he's gone through over the years. But that's why I was like, okay, let's stop there, because I don't think we should go to the point where it's like Sonic was never good. It's like, whoa, wait a minute. You even have people who are like, oh, he shouldn't be in that. I think he was like in that Video Game Hall of Fame, which is pretty cool that they announced or whatever. He was part of like the first or second, I think it was the first year, right, of the, I can't remember how that works, but and there were people who were like, oh, Sonic doesn't deserve to be there, and I'm like, whoa, Sonic absolutely deserves to be in there. Even if you look at like his most recent game, they're like, oh, it's you know, it's kind of like it's basically just Mario, but like, yeah, Sonic took a lot of inspiration from Mario, but he brought the war to Nintendo. I mean, that was huge. He was huge in the 90s. It doesn't matter what he is now. Like, you look at like Metallica's many faults, who's a great band, and you're not like, oh, they don't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. Like, what? No, they're fucking, like, they did so much for like metal, you know. So I guess I was like, well, what? So it just seems like the reputation got worse and worse for Sonic. I understand that like not all of the recent games are that good, and some of them are laughably bad, like Sonic 06 or Sonic Boom. You know, those are like, oh god, how did that happen kind of things. But even so, it's like you still have to like look at the, am I supposed to do something? Oh, okay. You still have to like look at the history and like what he did. And like he took down, well, Sega did, but Sonic was the main reason Sega took down Nintendo, and he was such a vital part in those console wars in the 90s. So I'm like, that's not like, that was huge back then. To give you perspective for anybody who doesn't know, Nintendo owned like, it was like 85 or 90% of the video game market. I mean, that's insane. Like the stock market, however that works, that's nuts. But then when they made Sonic and they were like, we're gonna bundle it with the Sega Genesis and everything, Sega beat them for a while, and they ended up owning like, it was like 60 or some. My numbers might be a little off. Whoa, that's fucking awesome. 60% or something of the market, Nintendo was number 2, you know. Nowadays, you know, Nintendo's kind of used to being in, and no offense to Nintendo, I'm not trying to knock, you know, Nintendo. I love all of my favorite console of like the PS2, GameCube, and original Xbox generation is the GameCube. So it's not like I'm not a Nintendo hater. I love Nintendo stuff. But, you know, well, I guess with the Wii, they were technically first place, but it was kind of one of those things where it's like, they had the numbers for first place, but they didn't really have the respect, because the Wii was seen as like a gimmick after a while, and it just wasn't that great, I guess, honestly. Like, Okay, this is really confusing. Where do I go? So yeah, but back then, you know, when there really just was one, it was Nintendo. It's kind of like you know, WC or something like that, like WCW going up against Monday Night Raw. You know, I'm a big wrestling fan, so I watch shit on that all the time, and I used to watch it back then too. You know, like, they wouldn't just be like, oh, well, I don't know, like, Hulk, well, I guess they did with Hulk Hogan, you know, they took him out of the fucking Hall of Fame and everything, but generally speaking, like, and plus, I thought that was a little ridiculous. I mean, what he did was completely wrong, and, like, but regardless, like, if we're just talking about the wrestler and or all of his accomplishments and what he did for wrestling, like, he still did a lot. Like, despite the O.J. Simpson stuff, people still look at him and they're kind of like, oh, you know, like, I'm a big fan of his you know, career as a football player. It's important in this case to separate, like, it's kind of like separating the art from the artist. Or like JonTron. I'm giving a lot of examples here, but it's just such a subject that I was like, how did Sonic get to that point? You know, like, he had some bad games, but he was not like you know, he didn't like get all racist and stuff, or he didn't have a leaked sex tape, which, well, okay, maybe that one's true. He did have many leaked sex tapes, and you're going to be able to recreate those in Sonic Forces. No, I fucking hope not. I can totally understand, just by saying that, why people are like, oh, Sonic Forces, not really the Sonic game I'm looking for. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I get it. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm mostly looking forward to it because of the gameplay, though. I still really like modern Sonic gameplay. Like, yeah, it's like automatic. I know it's like, you know, it's not like this super creative, like, going back to Mario again, like, platforming style. It's mostly just there's a lot of things that are automatic, but what little control you do have and stuff, like, I just find it so fun. The main appeal of Sonic games for me is just blasting through the air and like man, it's kind of like riding on a motorcycle but in a game and stuff. I like fast-paced games, and although the pacing for Sonic isn't particularly speedy, they give all the illusions and stuff it is. Maybe I'm just a sucker for the illusion of the speed, like that. But with Sonic Forces, actually, one thing that I thought was really cool, because one of the biggest complaints about Sonic Generations, at least from critics, I don't know about the fans so much, but from critics, one of the biggest complaints was like, oh, you know, the game should be slowed down. It's too fast. Same with Unleashed. They said the same thing about... Oh, what was the point of that? They said the same thing about, like, Unleashed, like, oh, it's too fast. Like, Sonic can be fast in story, but he doesn't have to be, like, legitimately, like, fast in-game. And I was like, I can understand that. You know, you want to experience the environments or whatever their reasoning was. And there were some times I was like, man, I just want to see, like, the art in the background and stuff. And you can stop yourself, but generally, you just keep going, and the game encourages you to do that. So... whatever, but oh, sweet, that was awesome. But yeah, I can understand that. So when they showed the trailer for Sonic Forces, I thought, man, people are gonna love this, and boy, I was wrong, because it seemed to go both ways. People either loved it, hate it, in between, and it was like, oh Jesus, can the Sonic fans ever be happy? And I guess the answer is like, not really, because Sonic's been through so many different types of, like, genres and different things over the years that they've tried so many different things, like Werehog, that they've created a fan base for about every type of Sonic you can see, like Dreamcast Sonic, classic Sonic like this, or even like Puzzle Sonic. I remember when they were like, oh, you know, Sonic. I still remember back in the day, people were like kind of excited because Sonic Heroes, they said, was going to have some puzzle-like elements to it, which came in the form of, like, hitting those switches, and you change the characters. Like, some parts were Fly, some parts were Power, and then it came out, and everyone's like, fuck this is not what we want from Sonic, you know, or whatever. So well, not everyone, but it's just like that group. And I think the short answer is all of them are right. I think there's well, Sonic could be anything it wants to be, but I think that what Sonic should be is really just up to the people, but they have to understand that, like, not every Sonic game is going to be an Unleashed sequel. Not every Sonic game is going to be an adventure sequel, obviously. Not every Sonic game is going to play like a classic Sonic game, so, you know, just look for the Sonic games you want, and when one comes out that you don't like, such as the people on YouTube are doing, just be like, this isn't the one for me. And I can totally understand that, but for the people who are kind of like, oh, this is bad, this is going to be a horrible game, I'm like, well, I don't know about that. Like, you can't just obviously write it off yet. Like, Sonic Forces looks good, but what I was going to say is that the one thing that really impressed me about Sonic Forces was when he did the boost, and I was like, oh, they listened. He does, like, you can see the motion of the boost is a lot like it gives you the illusion you're going really fast, but at the same time you can tell in the gameplay that it's like slowed down. I was like, oh, that's so cool. Like, I personally wasn't one of the people that was like complaining about like the speed or whatever in Sonic Unleashed or Generations. I really liked it, but I'm completely happy with the way they did it this time. I was like, oh no, that's fucking fine. They listened to, I don't know if fans were complaining about that, but they at least listened to critics. And for me, I'm like, I like both. I think it looks great. I'm obviously biased towards Sonic, so, you know, for some people I can understand. They're gonna be like, well, that's stupid, or some people, oh, fuck. Alright, we'll finish this boss battle on the next episode. Thank you for everybody for watching again and listening to my rants on Sonic. I know he's in a very like polarizing place right now, but hopefully if they keep making consistent things and just appealing to all the fan bases of Sonic that they can, it's tough, but hopefully if they do it, he'll kind of get some of that reputation back. So thank you, everybody.